everyone, and welcome back to Desert Chunk. This is my semi-extreme one-chunk Iron Man who is currently locked to the Caridian Desert, and will probably be locked here for an eternity to come. But before we get into that, let's see how we got here. In the last episode, we killed thousands of bandits, did dozens of mathematical calculations, earned tens of thousands of GP, and then spent it all on some pictures of boxes and a metal skirt. This enabled us to roll a whole bunch of chunks, which had a whole lot of nothing in them, until they didn't. You see, while I explored a little bit of the final chunk in that sequence, I kept the biggest grind come out of it a secret. A very poorly veiled secret, but hey, you can't blame a guy for trying. But enough of the manufactured suspense, let me reveal to you the most dangerous item in all of my chunks. A bronze pickaxe. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, hey Whisper, what's so scary about a bronze pickaxe? Well, we need to put this chunk in context with two of my previous acquisitions. The first is Narda, a chunk that I heavily coveted in the early days of my account due to it being the closest to my starting chunk that had a bank. And if you witnessed my descent into madness in episodes 3 and 4, you understand why I wanted a bank so badly. But little did I know that Narda was home to a crashed star, and it spawns literally right outside of my precious bank. However, this didn't really worry me at the time. I didn't have access to a pickaxe, and even if I did, I'd need level 10 to be able to mine the lowest tier star, and well, I didn't have access to level 1 mining resources either. But that all changed when I rolled the Desert Quarry after completing Narda. As its name suggests, there are things to mine there, but this didn't generate any tasks for me because, again, I didn't have access to a pickaxe. I did take note of the rocks in the mine, however, and this is what I said at the time. It looks like we do get access to a lot of ores, which is scary because as soon as we get a pickaxe, we might have a big mining grind ahead of us, especially if those are clay rocks that I see. They might be sandstone, though. I'm not entirely sure. There's the clay. We have clay. I believe that is a level 1 mining thing. Yes, clay right here. Okay, so as soon as we get a pickaxe, we are probably going to have a 90 mining requirement on the horizon, which is going to be fairly brutal, I think. So let's hope that we don't roll any areas that give us access to a pickaxe. I don't know where those areas are. Maybe I'll have to play around in the chunk picker to find out and use some of those death chunk markers that everyone else uses. Well, guess what happened? A couple rolls later, I hit a chunk with the pickaxe. Yeah. So I have a level 1 pickaxe, I have a level 1 mining rock, and I have a crashed star location. What does all of that mean? Well, it means that I have a very long 90 mining grind ahead of me, making this, to me at least, a death chunk. And what that means, like I over-exaggerated in the intro, is that I am going to be stuck in this region of unlocked chunks for quite a long time, doing a very repetitive and click-intensive task, a chunker's worst nightmare. Now, it sounds bleak, but it may not be quite as dire for me as it is for some others. You see, this mining pit of mine contains sandstone, which I know used to be a popular method for power mining. I don't know if it still is, but I get the feeling that I could have had it a lot worse. Granted, I'm going to have to do all of this with only a bronze pickaxe, so then again, it might still lead me to question my sanity. More than I already do, I mean. I don't believe I have access to clue scrolls. I haven't seen anything in my chunks drop them yet. I doubt I'd have very many doable steps if I did, and quite honestly, I don't even want to think about juggling clues until I have at least a few dozen chunks unlocked anyway, so no upgrades for me there. My only other option, and I'm saying that with very heavy air quotes, is lamping all the way up to 36 Hunter to catch Earth Implings, which drop mithril pickaxes at a rate of 1 in 100. I only have one Impling spawn in my chunks, which is just north of Palnivnich, and I've seen it wander quite far sometimes. But more than that, I'm not sure that I'm even willing to lamp that high in a skill that I can't actually train in my unlocked areas. The absolutely tragic thing is that I lamped Hunter up to level 5 last episode in the hopes of being able to catch the golden warblers that are just one chunk away, which would have given me a legitimate training method, but I didn't even get a chance to roll that chunk because this one was in its way. So the good news is mining is not our only grind here, so I'll have other things to keep me occupied, and more content for you guys than just endlessly swinging a pickaxe. So while the mining gets underway, let's talk about our other tasks in this chunk. 4 of these things we've already done, picking up the bronze arrows, the short bow, and the bronze pickaxe, which counts twice because of a BIS task. That sounds really weird to say, but we did all of these things last episode, so I'm just going to mark them off right here. The next 2 tasks we've technically already done as well. We bought the green d'hide vambraces and chaps back in episode 4, but I eventually sold them off because I couldn't use them at the time and I needed the money. So I'm not going to cross these off until I can actually buy them again, which shouldn't be too painful since they're fairly cheap, but I really don't want to have to go back to the bandits, so hopefully the things that I'll be mining sell for something decent at the Paul Nivnich general store. Additionally, we'll need to get 40 ranged in order to actually wear the d'hide, so it's a good thing that I kept as many of the arrows that I got from random events as I possibly could. And lastly, we have a bit of an intermediate mining goal in the form of this diary task. We need level 45 in order to mine some granite. So that's the chunk, those are the plans, and let's just see where it takes us. And here's level 2 mining, the first mining level on the account. As of right now, I'm cautiously optimistic about the grind, mainly because it's kind of the first thing I can do that just lets me chill and not stress about what's happening on the screen at all times. I know it's not particularly AFK, but at least I don't have to stare at the monitor every time I click a button to make sure that I don't just spontaneously perish. I'm also not really tracking anything aside from the level progress, so I'll be able to do huge portions of this grind on my side machine, which means I'll probably be able to edit portions of this video while continuing to make progress. Also, I just noticed that this rock behind me with a pickaxe sticking out of it has a take axe option. I don't know if that means that I can just grab a pickaxe from here. Let me see if I can try. It's taking me around to a very weird pathing, so I'm not entirely sure, but I just took the pickaxe and I have it in my inventory now. Okay, so I think Source Chunk might have missed this item spawn because when I rolled it, and I will play the footage from the previous episode up on the screen right now, when I rolled this chunk, I did not get any chunk tasks. There's only one way to find out, and that is to pick another chunk and see what we get. The quarry. Alright, take me there. No current chunk tasks, which probably means that we can't actually start the quest that is here. So this probably should have given me the chunk task prior to rolling the chunk that I actually did get the bronze pickaxe in. So I'm not really sure what to do about this, because technically I shouldn't have that chunk unlocked, but I do now, and I don't think I can just take it back. Let me go and sort this out in the Discord and just see what that's all about. I might not have an answer for you. Oh, here's a random event. Anyway, like I was saying, I may not have an answer for you in the next bunch of clips, but I will eventually, so stay tuned, I guess. Okay, well, I don't have an answer for you, and I probably won't for a while yet, but I did want to test out some money-making methods, and as you can see, the shop doesn't buy clay, but I do have these buckets that I can get in my chunk, and I can fill them with water, and I can use the bucket of water on the clay to make soft clay, as you see there. And so I want to take this back to the general store to see if it will sell for anything. It'll buy for 1 coin, which isn't great, but you know what, I'll sell it anyway, so, yeah, we're gonna have to find some other ways to make money in this chunk, but we may not even end up needing it anyway, depending on what Source Chunk says about the chunk rolling error. I'm going to run this to the bank just because I have some extra items on me, like the sapphire and the 4 coins, but from now on I'm probably just going to end up dropping all of the clay that I get because I don't want to run to a bank each time. I don't think it's really worth it at this point. I don't have any other grinds that require clay, so I'm probably also not going to do anything with the other tasks in this chunk until I get a response from Source Chunk, so you'll probably just see a montage of me gaining mining levels as I very slowly mine this clay with my bronze pickaxe. Is this guy starting a cult? What the hell's going on here? What is this? Why are all these villagers just surrounding him? And he has Flippa yelling at him too. Like, what the hell's going on? I think this guy might be starting a cult, guys. I don't think I want to join. Anyway, here's level 3 mining, and now let's roll the montage. here is the level 20 mining, a nice round number that we love so much here. We can now mine silver, that's cool. I mean, we don't have any, but we're going to pause for now and go over a few things. So I did reach out to Source Chunk on the Discord and confirmed that this bronze pickaxe spawn, or interactable item, I guess. Anyway, it should have unlocked the level 90 mining grind and locked me in this chunk before I could roll the East Narda Coast or the Elid North Bridge chunks. However, it was not known by the chunk picker, and I didn't notice it myself at the time either. Funnily enough, if you go really slowly through the previous episode, there's like a split-second freeze frame where I glide my mouse over the rock and I get the option to take the pickaxe, but I obviously didn't notice that in real time, as you can tell when you watch the video itself. So I brought the issue up, got it fixed in the chunk picker, and then I asked for some advice regarding the progression of my account. The main response I got was, it's my account, these things already happened, and I can do whatever I want about it. One person suggested that I could simply refrain from making progress on my other tasks until all the mining stuff is complete, and that certainly makes sense. It's an option that I very strongly considered. With that said, I'm not actually going to take that path, and here's why. The overall consensus was that it didn't make sense for me to go back and relock my chunks. So to me, that means the Elid North Bridge chunk is here to stay and thus should be fully accessible. I also explicitly mentioned in the previous video, when I was talking about adding my lamped skills to the chunk picker, that I want the map to do all the work of generating tasks for me. Obviously, if I catch something like this ahead of time that needs to be added, I'll bring it up to Source Chunk, like I did with the Caridian Cactus and Steel Axe interaction, but if I don't catch it, then there's really not much that I can do about it. Even though I always feel proud to contribute to the body of obscure chunk knowledge wherever I can, I'm also not going to hold myself too strictly accountable for missing things like this. You have to remember that I quit the game for almost a decade before making my chunk account, and then I spent 8 out of the entire 10 months of this account's existence locked to just a square of 4 chunks. And then I killed nothing but jackals for 5 of those months, so ultimately though, that's not what actually led me to make this decision. Call me superstitious, but that was the very first chunk that I actually just hopped straight into without remembering to check the task list. And I have no idea why. I genuinely did not know what awaited me in that chunk when I unlocked it. The bronze pickaxe was the last item spawn that I came across, and the realization of what that meant for my account was crushing. But that whole order of events, everything from forgetting to check the tasks to finding the bronze pickaxe last, that's what really led me to my decision. I just feel like it was all meant to be this way, if that makes sense. So the ranged grind is still on, plus I won't have to re-record the intro, so that's good. Basically, nothing's changed. And if that's still not a satisfying enough answer, well, let's just do a little roleplay. Let's just pretend that this was a sneaky ninja update that Jagex just slid in there definitely after I rolled this chunk. Yeah, that's what we're going with. Okay, so with all of that now established, we're actually going to go and visit our newest chunk because there's an idea that I've been wanting to try. Look, I'm level 20 mining and my optimism for this grind is already starting to dry up, mainly because the bronze pickaxe is trash. If I have to do the whole grind with it, I might go insane. Well, more than I already am, at least. Now, you'll notice that I've brought my bird snare with me because I want to see if those golden warblers can wander close enough to the border to be useful in my hunter training, after all. If you've been following the series for a while, you'll know that I am very strict about not interacting with things outside of my chunk borders, but I've also established that anything that wanders in of its own accord is fair game. Now, one thing that I've noticed is right at the edge of my chunk here, there is a jackal that is level 21 that sometimes wanders in either on this corner here, or sometimes I think it wanders over in this space here. There's another jackal there. If they do wander in, and they are aggressive towards me, then there's a possibility that they might just start attacking me of their own accord, which technically wouldn't be against my chunk rules. Like, let's say it wandered into this square here and then started attacking me. I could attack it back, and that would be fine. It just probably would take a while to get that to happen, and does setting up a snare and hoping that the birds can get close enough to be lured by it count as interacting with them? I'm going to say no because I'm not actually clicking on them in any way while they're outside of my chunk borders. So I'm just going to set this up here on the edge of my chunk and wait and see if anything happens. Apparently I can't use the lit torch to help me smoke the traps because I'm not a high enough hunter level to do that. Oh my god, I actually caught one. Was not expecting that. I was actually just about to script out a little bit about how long I was waiting and how I don't think that this is quite a viable option, but then one of them just flew there, and I caught it, and I actually completed an easy task in the desert area too. That's the second time I think I've accidentally completed a task that's outside of my unlocked areas. But yeah, the birds, they can wander into this spot here that's about 2 tiles away, and then I think they can just kind of get sucked into the trap from there. I'm not really sure though if this is a viable and sustainable method. How much XP did I get from that? I guess I'll see when I actually edit the video. But yeah, the birds, they can wander about to this square. Oh god! You didn't see that, you didn't see that, no one saw that. Go away. You're useless. But yeah, they can wander to about that square, and then, like I said, I think they just get sucked in, but the amount of time that it took for that to happen, that was about, what, like 9 minutes from when I last left off the recording, so it doesn't happen very frequently, but it could be a way to get to some more Hunter XP. I don't know, man. Look, I probably am just going to take all of the XP randoms that I get and throw the lamps onto Hunter, just to try to get to level 36 for that mithril pickaxe. Hopefully I'll get there before I'm too deep into the grind, although I have a bad feeling that that's probably not going to be the case. Okay, one last thing before I get back to the grind. As it turns out, I can actually get clue scrolls in my current chunks. As you can see, I have this beginner clue geode sitting in my bank, which came from mining the clay rocks. The problem is, I have no possible beginner, easy, or hard clue steps in my area, so there's no chance for a black pickaxe, which mines at the same speed as the mithril pickaxe, for what it's worth. I have one possible medium step, which I don't even know if I can do because it requires getting a challenge scroll. If I can do it, then it opens up the possibility for getting an adamant pickaxe, but the odds are not in my favor. With only one potentially doable medium step out of the 165 steps that currently exist, I have less than a 1% chance to get that specific step from a medium clue geode. And at level 20 mining, doing clay rocks, the chance of getting a medium clue geode at all is 1 in 12,360. If I'm not completely inept at math, I believe that's a combined odds of 1 in 2,039,400. And I'd need to do that 5 times over to guarantee a casket. That's not happening. Funnily enough, I did actually get a medium clue geode towards the end of the montage grind, but as you can see from these screenshots, we did not, in fact, get the 1 in 2 million roll for a potentially doable step. I also have 2 possible elite steps, but only one is actually doable, and I'm not even going to talk about the one possible master step because those are both also never going to happen. Essentially what I'm getting at is that I'm probably going to have to go back on what I said in the intro and actually lamp hunter up to level 36 if I want to have any chance of getting a better pickaxe. And speaking of the mithril pickaxe, we can now use one, if we had one, because we have just achieved level 21 mining. Oh, and did you guys know that the bronze pickaxe actually gives +1 slash defense? Fun pickaxe facts. Don't expect any more, I don't have any. And here's level 25 mining. And here's another fishing random done for level 27 fishing. And 450 total level. And here is level 30 mining, a big milestone as we can now mine coal, which we have right here next to our clay, and which I'm actually going to start mining immediately, despite how awful it will be for the foreseeable future. As I mentioned in the intro, I need to make money in this chunk, about 6k in order to buy the green d'hide chaps and vambraces from Sedu, and we've already established that I'm more than willing to sell off my coal to make money. Also, I think I just saw a 50 XP drop, which is about 10 times more than the clay was giving me. Now, I'm not in any particular rush to buy the green d'hide. I can't even use it yet, so that's why I'm not going to do any world hopping for the time being. I'll need about 250 to hit 6,000 GP, but I'll probably end up sending a few coal runs every now and then afterwards, just to get some expendable cash, because, let me tell you, having to run all the way from Palnivnich to Narda and back every time I need to use the bank is so tedious and time consuming. Like, as soon as I unlocked Narda, I had the ability to travel between these two towns using the rug merchants here, but the fact that I needed to stockpile every single coin I could get during the last grind meant that I just never actually used the flying carpets. I ran all the way there and back. So yeah, having a reliably renewable source of income is really cool. It's going to save me so much time whenever I have to go and bank the gems and random event loot that I get during this grind. It's still going to be a pain, as you've been seeing, mining them with the bronze pickaxe, but, well, it's definitely better than nothing. Oh, and this lamp will get me to level 6 hunter. There we go, just 30 more to go. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to get there. And here we are at level 35 mining. We can now mine sandstone, which I'm not going to do immediately because I still want to build up my bank a bit. We're still about 1.5k shy of the green d'hide pieces. I'm not going to buy them right away, but I would like to have the gold for them in my bank at least. And then, like I said, having enough money for a few trips to Narda and back would also be nice. But on top of that, we'll need some extra GP for preparations ahead of the sandstone grind. I'm going to have to acquire yet another set of the desert shirt and boots to mitigate the effects of the desert heat, and I'll probably end up doubling the amount of water skins in my inventory so that I don't have to run back to Palnivnich quite as often. That's one thing about selling this coal. The run back takes so long. I'll actually be kind of glad when I can just sit here and power mine and not have to worry about saving any of the sandstone because it doesn't sell for anything anyway. Oh, and we have these 2 lamps stockpiled up here. This is going to get us to level 7 hunter. I'm finally ready to mine some sandstone, and this is really what's going to determine how enjoyable or otherwise the rest of this grind will be. Specifically, how long it takes for the rock to respawn, because if it's quick enough... I don't know, that wasn't horrible, but it also was kind of longer than I was hoping for, so maybe what I was about to say won't be quite as viable. But the reason that I'm considering this idea is because there's something in Josh Isn't Gaming's latest video, which probably won't be his latest one by the time this video comes out, but regardless. Anyway, in that video, he showed off something that could be a game changer for my account as well. And that thing is a foot pedal. Now, of course, I already knew that such a thing existed from way back during Verf's infamous agility grind, but I just sort of figured that it was some rare and pricey component that would need complicated software to set up properly. But then Josh mentioned that it was just a USB device when he was showing off his pedal, and I was able to look into it, and I realized that not only was it likely a lot simpler than I was giving it credit for, but also that a simple one-button pedal isn't out of my price range. So I might end up ordering one and giving it a try. The respawn rate isn't too terrible, though it is a bit slower than I was hoping for. But if it works, it'll definitely make the simultaneous editing of this video much more viable. Who knows, maybe I'm pedaling away in the background as I'm editing this clip that you're watching right now. Maybe I'm approaching 70 mining as you're sitting here watching my screen say 37 mining. Miningception. Anyway, this lamp that I was holding onto is going to get us to a level 8 hunter. And here is level 40 mining. We can now mine gold, which we actually have fairly close to us. This chunk over here actually has 5 gold, and we can see it from the chunk border here. Unfortunately, it won't be useful at all during this grind, because obviously it is locked. But anyway, we can also now mine size 4 stars, so we are very gradually increasing the likelihood that we will be able to partake in the mining of any stars that we come across. And here is level 45 mining. We can now mine granite, which we will do right now because it is a chunk task. So there we go, Desert Diary task complete. Now I am going to pause the grind here and mine some coal for a little bit of money while I talk about what's coming up next. Firstly, my foot pedal is already here. It actually came pretty quickly, but I haven't actually used it yet because unfortunately it does require a more complicated setup than just plugging it into the USB port. I don't know if all pedals are like this, but the one that I got says that I need to go to the website in the user manual to download the proper software, and like I'm really bad with software, so I'm just going to bring everything into my computer guy and have him set it all up there if everything checks out. In the meantime, I've been itching to get started on this ranged grind, so that's what we're going to do as soon as I finish off this batch of coal. So this is the ranged setup. None of these armor pieces have negative ranged stats, so that's why I am using them. Now I'm going to have to be very careful and conservative with how I use my arrows. This regular old short bow of mine can shoot arrows up to iron, and my only way to get iron arrows is through random events, which means that once they're gone, they could be gone for a while. Fortunately, I do also have bronze arrows, which, while most of my stack came from random events as well, technically are a renewable resource for me. The problem is, those bronze arrows come in the form of 3 single arrow item spawns, which you may have seen while we were hunting the golden warblers, and I'm still not the biggest fan of world hopping, so I'd like to do as little of that as possible. The good thing, however, is that we only need 40 ranged, so I don't anticipate this being much of an issue during the grind. Anyway, here's a quick breakdown of the plan. We're going to start with snakes because they're the weakest monster we can kill, and I want to make sure I'm getting as much out of my arrows as possible. Now, I would say that we'll eventually be moving on to jackals once the DPS calculator tells me that we could hit 7s because snakes only have 6 HP, and I wouldn't want to waste experience by not doing the most amount of damage per arrow that I possibly could. But as it turns out, we can only hit 7s with bronze arrows at level 48, and we only need 40. In fact, it's going to take us all the way until level 39 to even be able to one-shot snakes in the first place. And here's a level 2 ranged. Okay, but all of that assumes that bronze arrows will last us for the entire grind, right? Well, the iron arrows actually aren't much better. Just take everything I said about the bronze arrows and go down by 2 levels. Our max hit of 6 would come at level 37 instead of 39, and it would still take us well over level 40, level 46 to be precise, in order to hit 7s. So basically, we're only going to be killing snakes for the entire grind. So fun. And I should also mention that we're going to be on accurate the whole time so that we hit as frequently as possible. Here's level 3 ranged. And of course I will be picking up all of the arrows that are on the ground. There's level 4 ranged, and a total level of 475 apparently. And here's a level 5 ranged for the oak bows. It would be so nice if we could get them in this chunk, but we can't. But you guys know what that means. From now on, it's montage time. And level 8 ranged is kind of all you're getting at this point because, well, if we look at the inventory here, we are just almost out of bronze arrows, and I have to keep picking them up and re-equipping them manually almost every kill now, so I know I said I wasn't a big fan of it, but I think I'm just gonna go and collect more arrows from the ground. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I actually went back and got my bird snare because before I start world hopping like a madman, I want to try to catch another bird. Just one more, for now at least. As you can see, I'm only 2 XP away from level 9 hunter, and it would feel really bad to waste a lamp or a book to get there since I'd be getting more XP from them at level 9. Plus, I really just want to try to capture a full clip of the golden warbler coming to roost. Obviously, the previous golden warbler clip already proves that the trap itself works within my chunk borders, but I just want to show that I didn't, like, manipulate the bird in any other way. I'm not even sure if there's a way to do that, but oh hey look, there's an impling, not the one we need, or will eventually need, but it is wandering around up here. Anyway, I'm just gonna set this bird snare up on the edge of the border, hopefully a little closer to the bronze arrows here so that I can see what's happening, but we're just gonna kind of let this run and see if anything happens, and yeah, I'll bring you back in if it does. Oh, there's a lizard that can wander in. That's kind of terrifying. Do they wander in or do they just spawn there? I don't want to get too close. I think I'm above the combat level where it can just naturally attack me, but I'm assuming that I have no tasks for these because I can't actually finish them off without the ice cooler, I think it is. They're just little friends for now. Oh, a ninja impling. I think that's supposed to be one of the really high level ones. Too bad I can't catch it. Ah, 2 implings at once. Very interesting. That's the Earth Impling that we need. Can't catch it right now, though. That's what I'm working towards with this, or trying to at least. Oh, I believe it just happened right in front of me as I was waiting and doing something on my phone, so no live commentary reaction. This is the second after, though, so I guess we got to see how that looked. That's pretty cool. Anyway, here is Level 9 Hunter. That took about, my recorder says 20 minutes here, so a very long clip there, but obviously it'll be cut down for you guys. Anyway, I'm going to start the world hopping process now, so let's just get a bunch of bronze arrows because we're going to need them. And here we are with our 552 arrows from the world hopping session. It actually wasn't that painful. I was just watching a YouTube video the whole time and it wasn't too arduous of a process to grab the arrows. I probably could have done a lot more, to be honest, but obviously the main issue with all of that is I don't get random event spawns when I'm not logged into a world for a certain amount of time, so that is a pretty big downside considering that we are trying to get experience lamps for Hunter. Although I did notice as I was hopping around that there were worlds where the birds were already hovering close to the border, and I was kind of tempted to go lay down a trap there and try to get them, but I figured it wasn't really worth it. Anyway, we should be good on arrows for a little while, so let's see how far this actually gets us. And here's level 9 ranged, and here's level 10 ranged, and we have this Book of Knowledge. I'm not exactly sure what the multiplier is on it for our skills, but we are going to put it, of course, into Hunter. Gives us 135 XP. I'll probably have to look up that one on the wiki, and I'll probably put it on screen if I remember to, but it looks like we only have 4 XP left, so you know what that means. We're gonna be catching another golden warbler for 20 minutes trying to get that up without having to spend a lamp on it. Wish me luck. And here's 15 ranged. There's 20 ranged. Still at 377 arrows, so we're not doing too badly, I don't think. I also decided to get my steel axe out of the bank just to chop these cacti every now and then. Just because I figured I'm going to be here for an extended period of time training on these, so like, why not just take a few swings every now and then and maybe get a few levels out of it, who knows? I will remind you that I still only have 8 skills that I can actively train at the moment, so every little bit helps. And here's a level 25 ranged. Well, hopefully one of these cacti will give us a level that we haven't seen in quite a while. Not that one. Not that one. Okay, one more chance. Let's see it. There's level 32 woodcutting, but more importantly, that's 500 total level. 500 of these things just from 8 actively trainable skills, and it took us 16 days and 3 hours to get here. I'm starting to feel a little bit more accomplished in all of this, but we still have a long way to go. And while we're on the topic of levels that we haven't seen in a while, I have still been picking up every single bone and burying them, and with all of that done, here is a level 49 prayer. We can now use redemption, which is pretty cool. Let's throw on that heart just real quick, because I don't want to lose any prayer when I can't restore it unless I perish. We probably won't be seeing another prayer level throughout the rest of this grind, but hey, at least we've got a nice cool new prayer to never use, ever. And just a few minutes later, here we are coming up on... If I could hit the damn snake. Please hit the snake. There we go, level 30 ranged. Damn you, snake. Anyway, we're down to our last 100 arrows exactly, so we're probably going to need to pick up more to finish out the rest of this grind, but as stated previously, that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Well, we are already almost out of our 100 remaining arrows, just 6 left over here, as you can see. If I scroll up a bit in the chat, you can see that we have just advanced a ranged level not too long ago, level 32. Really not all that far along into the level, so those 100 arrows only got us about 2 more levels, and we still need 8 more, so I'm going to go back and pick up some more bronze arrows. Thank you, Giles, for giving me 480 coins that I can use to buy a carpet ride. Oh, Niles, my bad. It was Niles who came and gave it to me. Anyway, we are going back again with our bird snare, and I just noticed that there are these Caridian cacti in the middle of the water, which apparently can be cut, but also can't be reached, so that's a little bit odd. But the reason that we have our bird snare, of course, is because at just 4 more experience points, we will get to level 10 hunter, and then our lamps will be worth more experience. I'm trying to squeeze out every little bit of experience I can in this skill. Well, here's our bird that we needed. That took absolute ages. I went up from 6 to 120 arrows on the same world, so no world hopping, just trying to wait this out, and finally it happened. I had one near miss, and then we finally got it. There's level 10 hunter. No new unlocks, it appears, but that's fine. Alright, and here we are with 300 arrows now in our inventory, or equipped item slots, I guess. I'm definitely going to stop there for now and see how far that gets us along in the rest of our training. And here's level 35 ranged. We're already down to about 130 or so more arrows left to go, so we might end up needing to restock at some point, but we'll see how far this takes us. Well, I haven't been showing every ranged level, but I will show every woodcutting level because they're so few and far between, and if one of these gives us some water, hopefully this one, there we go, that's level 33 woodcutting. Also, I'm already only down to 33 arrows, and we're only at level 36 ranged, so I think I might need to get some more arrows. Okay, and we're back with another 331 more arrows this time, so we'll see how far that gets us, hopefully the rest of the way. If not, I might just go and dip into the iron arrows, because I don't really want to bother with all this world hopping anymore. I know I said earlier that it wasn't that bad when I got my first batch of like 500 or whatever, and that was true then, but it honestly does become a bit of a drag after a while. So here's a lamp that will get us to level 11 hunter, and we can now trap cerulean twitches for whatever that's worth. And here, finally, we have a level 40 ranged with a bunch of unlocks that we don't get to see because that snake wouldn't die in one hit, sadly. This is how many snakes it took to get here. I don't remember where we started at. If I have a screenshot or other recording of that, I will put it up now in the editing process. But we can also do a little bit of quick math. If we take this 37,244 figure of experience here and divide it by 24 experience per snake kill, we come out to about 1,551 snakes, although it's probably a bit less than that because sometimes the snakes regenerate hit points, so we will be getting extra experience over the long run. Either way, that's level 40. That is the prerequisite for some of our chunk tasks, so let's go get those done. Alright, so we are back at the shop of our old friend Sedu with our cash stack, and we are going to trade Sedu, and I had bought this before in a previous episode, but I ended up selling it back because I couldn't wear it, so we're just going to buy it again. Right now, there's a pair of green d'hide chaps and some green d'hide vambraces. Let us put them on. Here's the vambraces. There's the green d'hide chaps. We can mark off 3 more tasks. 1 to acquire the vambraces, 1 to acquire the green d'hide legs, and the level 40 ranged requirement to wear them both. And this is actually a pretty cool ranged setup now. We look like we have some actual gear here. The chaps and the vambraces obviously fit very well in conjunction with the rune chain body. Let's see what stats they actually give. I'm mainly interested in the attack bonus stats, so we're getting +8 ranged from these, I guess. So you can see that go up from +8 to +16 there, and we get another +8 from the green d'hide vambraces. So now we're at a total of plus 24 in our ranged. We have a couple of defensive bonuses as well, which is always a good thing, of course. It doesn't give us any max hits because it's not increasing our ranged strength down here, which is plus 7 whether I have these on or off, but it is increasing our accuracy, which again is always a good thing. So one of the last things that I want to do before ending this episode is actually getting to level 50 mining and then trying to find a crashed star that I can actually mine. I really don't need to get to level 50 to mine one, it's just going to increase my chances of finding one that I can mine, so why not do it? We're only 5 levels off anyway. Before we do that though, there is just one little thing not related to our current chunk tasks that I kind of just want to do for myself because it's been nagging at me for a little while now, and I feel like now is as good of a time as any to do it. And that is finishing off this last little bit of XP until level 73 strength, because as you can see, we're only a meager 3,436 XP away from it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run over here and kill some goats until we get to that level, or at least until I decide it's time to move over to the snakes to finish off the level, as is my custom. But yeah, I'm just going to kill these goats because they're right here, they're fairly easy to kill, and we haven't really farmed a whole lot of these goats. I only have a few desert goat horns in the bank as of right now, and why not get some more of them while we're putting in the time to get some experience anyway. So yeah, we're just gonna do this for a little bit, and then once we're done, we will head back to the mines, which I'm not exactly yearning for, as the meme goes. The thing that I am actually excited about is being able to potentially mine some crashed stars. So I'll bring you guys back in for the level, and then I'll get to test out my new foot pedal and see how good or bad the mining grind is with it. And one change of scenery and wardrobe later, we have level 73 strength. Now die! Sorry, it was just annoying me that the snake survived more than a couple hits. Although I am wielding a bronze pickaxe, so I guess I can't be all that upset. Okay, so before I get too deep into the grind, and by the way, the reason that I'm here instead of on my other machine is because I'm waiting for my random event timer to go off. I'm kind of a slave to that when I'm hoping for, you know, a bunch of experience lamps to go and level up my hunter to maybe get a mithril pickaxe to hopefully speed the mining grind up. You guys get the deal, you know what's going on, but I was looking over my chunk map and apparently I can complete another step of Anakra's Lament, so I am going to go and give this guy some sandstone that I have on me. Yeah, I have more stone, so let's give him 10 kilogram block, and he needs 22 more, so let's give him another 10 kilogram block. And then he needs 12 more, so I guess that's another 10 kilogram block. And then he needs 2 more, so I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It just says he needs 32 kilograms of stone, so here's 32 kilograms. Now use a chisel to craft it into a base for the statue. Okay, well, I don't have a chisel, so at least I don't think I have a chisel. So I don't think I can continue the step any further than this. I guess I just put this into my bank until I have a chisel and can progress the quest further. It's just gonna live here at the bottom of my inventory for now while I continue this grind, but at some point that will go into the bank. So we back in the mine, and well, here's level 50 mining. Also, this lamp I have here should be enough, if I am correct, to get us to level 12 hunter. Unfortunately, I just learned from the wiki that crashed stars don't actually spawn below tier 6 anymore, so I'm never going to find one at level 50 on my own. There need to be other people there already mining it and getting it to a lower tier, so I'll probably end up coming back here after the episode is done and grinding out level 60 before I start actively hunting stars as a training supplement. Obviously, I'll still need other people for the stars above tier 6, but you guys get my logic, hopefully. Anyway, I'm still going to try to mine my first star on this account at level 50, and to do that, someone in the One Chunk Discord hooked me up with a nifty site called the OSRS Shooting Star Tracker. Basically, it's a community updated list that shows various stars and how long ago they were reported. We're interested in stars at the Narda Bank, and if I'm not mistaken, there should be one on World 351. We might have to wait a little bit until we can mine it, but let's go check it out anyway. So here's the star in question. As you can see, it's currently a tier 6, so I need at least level 60, and we only have have level 50. So yeah, we'll just wait until it drops to tier 5, and then we'll get to mining it. Alright, and we're down to tier 5, so I can finally tag myself in and get some of this stardust here. And just in case I haven't mentioned it before, the reason that I want to start mining this stuff as early as possible, well, for one, it's because it's a lot more AFK than mining rocks, but eventually we're going to be able to spend this stardust on rewards and upgrades and things like that, so I want to have as much of it stocked up as possible, and the way to do that is to get in on this mining of stardust as early as possible. So that's why we're here, that's why I'm going to try to do this for the rest of my mining grind, hopefully, if possible. It might not be, and I still might have to supplement that training with actual sandstone mining, or granite mining, or even coal a little bit, but just look at how nice and AFK this is. I've only had to click on it once, and I'm still going, so this is probably what you're gonna see me doing, or, well, I guess not see me doing. It'll probably be off camera, but this is probably what I'll be doing for the next bunch of levels. Maybe I'll go back and get level 60 at the sandstone, like I said, but it feels really good to have an actual AFK activity to do on this game right now. Well, so much for Stardust. That star is out, and let's see how many other song references I can make by the end of this video. Oh, is that my random event? Oh, cool. I get to do some fishing right after that. That's nice. Anyway, we got 310 Stardust out of that, as you can see in the inventory. Not a bad haul for my first star with the bronze pickaxe, question mark? Well, there's the fishing random done. No level up this time, I don't think. Yeah, there we go. This guy's getting a genie, which I would have loved to have had, but unfortunately we can't have nice things. This guy's just ignoring it though, so very, very sad. Anyway, let's throw this 310 Stardust into the bank, and we'll probably call it there for the episode, I think. That was kind of the last thing that I really wanted to do, so let's wrap this up. Alright, so here we are at the end of the video with quite a bit of progress made. 40 ranged, 50 mining, a handful of hunter levels. We actually went up 101 total levels in this episode, and it only took us just over 2 days, or 49 hours more specifically, to get there. And seeing that playtime, you might be wondering why it took so long for this video to come out, and all I really have are the typical lame excuses. I was occupied with work and social obligations, I've been doing a bit of house hunting, I've had to work around my mental health and lack of sleep. I think the biggest thing that took me out of it was a really busy period in another MMO that I play on the side recreationally, the main issue being that I just didn't have the setup or a good point in the one chunk grind to be able to juggle everything simultaneously. But now I do. I have a foot pedal and nothing to do but hours and hours of mining. Reflecting back on what I said at the start of this video, I don't actually think that I consider this a death grind anymore. Yes, it's 90 mining with a bronze pickaxe, and no guarantee that we'll even be able to get the level to try for a mithril one before the grind is over, but it's the only major task we had, and we're not even going to be halfway to 99 XP-wise by the time it's done, so I really can't complain. I could have worse methods. At least I have the sandstone to power mine, and the granite, so could be worse. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, for being so supportive, and just for being very patient in general. The One Chunk community is amazingly patient when it comes to these videos from all the creators here, which is really cool to see. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you again for watching, I really appreciate it, and take care, everyone.